So tonight, let's look at multiplying by 10. Let's just look at a few examples. Let's look at the example of 20 times 30. You know, a lot of us have learned to do 20 times 30. We go 20 times 30 like this. And we go 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 2 is 0. We slide over a spot by putting a place value 0. Then we move to the 3. 3 times 0 is 3. I'm sorry, 3 times 0 is 0. And 3 times 2 would be 6. And we'd end up with the 600. So we've learned how to do it that way. And we just do what we remember. Put a little bit more meaning behind it. Remember, 20 is the same thing as 2 times 10. So in other words, that placeholder 0 means you're multiplying by 10. And over here we have times 30. We have, that is also the same thing as 3 times 10. Now, since this is all multiplication, there is the commutative of multiplication that says I'm allowed to change the order of a multiplication problem, and it doesn't change the value. So I'm allowed to rearrange this as 2 times 3 times 10 times 10. So know that 2 times 3 is 6. And when you multiply by 10, and you multiply by another 10, that essentially just means add a 0 each time. So the answer would be, end up being 600. So each one of these multiplying by 10s essentially just means just add on a 0. That's our shortcut when you multiply whole numbers by 10. You just add a 0. So when it comes to 500 times 70, I can look at this as 5 times 10 times 10 times 7 times 10. So each one of these zeros represents a placeholder. That's why that's in the 500s, but that's in the hundreds place. But remember, there's ones and tens, and then there's the hundreds place, so we have 5 100s. But also I look at this as 5 times 10 times 10, and that would still represent 500. So each zero would represent multiplying by 10. So since I have a multiplication problem, I'm allowed to change the order to 5 times 7 times 10 times 10 times 10. And we know that 5 times 7 is 35, and you stick on those 3 zeros. Because multiplying by 10 essentially just means to stick on a 0. We put our comma in there to help us read it. The answer would be 35,000. So when it comes to this problem right here, I can essentially just recognize that this is just going to be, as a multiplication problem, 6 times 5, which is 30, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Therefore, the answer would become 300,000. So that's how we can multiply whole numbers that end in zeros. Each zero just represents multiplying by 10. Also take note, parentheses are commonly used to show multiplication. Our little x also is commonly used to show multiplication. And don't forget that the dot is another multiplication symbol that we do in math. When we do algebra, you're going to see more of the parentheses than anything else. Stay tuned.